Hi, my name is J. Alvin Consigo. This is my first demo video for our photography class at PCCI, or Philippine Center for Creative Imaging. Okay, going to show you a few pictures of this product. This is the spider lens scal, which is used to calibrate your lens. So you focus on this spot or that spot if you're going macro to test to make sure your lens focuses correctly. Okay, and that's not the purpose of this video though. I'm going to demonstrate how I shoot these. I will shoot these in a moment and discuss with you the camera settings from exposure to metering to white balance. So let's start with our lighting. I have here 4000K light bulbs. Okay, even the one above me is called cool white, around 4000K. And also this one that lights up the background of our product, it's a 4000K light bulb. So I'm definitely setting the camera to 4000K to neutralize the slightly yellowish tint of my lights. So here's the time, the date and time I need to set for the camera. It's supposed to be 29th February 2020, but this happens to be a new camera, 850D, so it doesn't go beyond 2021. Okay, I guess it's released in 2021, that's why it doesn't allow me to set it to 2020. So here's the date I'm setting for this demonstration. Okay, the 28th of February 2021. Can't set it 2020, so here we go. I just double check my settings here before I shoot the product. Let me see if everything checks out right. Okay, I'm going at the same level of the product first. Okay, let's try a lower angle. And a little bit of a higher angle. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at these pictures. Okay, and I'll discuss with you the camera settings as I said in a moment. Okay, well, since this product is intended for checking the focus calibration of your lens, I'm going to show you the picture that I would take if I were doing that exactly, checking my lens. So here it is. Okay, the file name is 4145. The shutter speed is 1/50th of a second. The aperture was set to f5 and the ISO set at 400. Okay, so I'm going to discuss with you why I chose those settings. First, I shot it from my lens at 50 millimeters, and following the reciprocal rule, I set the shutter speed to 1/50th of a second. Although I have my image stabilization turned on, you know, it's not very good if your hands are shaky, you know, like mine, and it sometimes cannot compensate enough for huge movements. So following the reciprocal rule, I would go a little bit higher, but for the sake of demonstration, you know, following the reciprocal rule, I set it to 1/50th, which is the exact same millimeter of the lens. Okay, I set it to f5 because although I could set it to f2.8, this is a 2.8 lens, I wanted to show more of the numbers just for demonstration. It's not for calibrating the lens. So if you're calibrating your lens, you want to set it to the lowest aperture value possible, the biggest physical opening of the lens, like 1.8. For other lenses, 1.2, 1.4. In my case, it could go down to 2.8. But I set it to f5 so I can show more numbers. So looking at the photo again, the whole surface of the lens scal, you know, the checkered board is sharp, and the zero in the ruler is also very sharp. Okay, up to number 1, both ways, going up and going down. Yeah, both number 1s are still quite sharp, but beyond that, it starts to get blurry. Okay, now at least this allows me to confirm that my lens still focuses properly. Okay, it's a couple of years old now, and okay, if I would go to 2.8, maybe the number ones would start to get blurry. Okay, but again, this is just for demonstration. So to get the proper exposure, okay, I didn't necessarily want the meter to be at 0. Okay, I wanted the meter to be at around +1. Why? Because I want a white background, making the product stand out. There isn't a lot of front lighting. It's more of a back lighting, and the white wall is not very smooth. So I aim the right bulb at it, not to the product. So the background is brighter, making it white, making it look more professional, just like an ID picture. So that's why I overexpose it at around +1. Okay, that leads me to the ISO settings. Okay, my ISO is set to 400. Yeah, because setting it lower will not allow me to overexpose it. So the exposure is largely determined by the ISO. Okay, the shutter speed is based on the reciprocal rule. The aperture setting is based on my preference of showing, more of the numbers 0 and 1. Okay, and not only the 0. I wanted some of those lines to be sharp. Okay, and the entire surface, of course. So just to make sure, you want to stop down your aperture. Okay, and if I haven't mentioned, white balance was set to 4000K because the light bulb is 4000K, so it looks pure white in camera. Okay, there'll be no editing when I submit the photo, so I want to make sure it looks pure. It's not heavily colored. So the light bulb didn't affect the color because it's set to the correct white balance temperature. Okay, let me just double check if I forgot anything. So I'm supposed to tell you the exposure settings, the metering setting. Okay, I forget that. This is okay. The focus mode. We'll discuss that as well. Okay, the metering setting was set to center weighted average. Okay, the reason I set it to center weighted average is because we got white and black squares here, and the frame of the main surface, okay, forget what it's called, but it's mostly black around it. Okay, if I use spot metering and I accidentally put the spot somewhere I don't want it to be, it might affect the exposure, and it might make me think that the meter is showing me it's overexposed because I pointed the spot on a white square. Okay, so I wanted more of a metering mode that takes into account most of the picture, not only one single spot. So that's the reason why I chose center weighted average. Why center weighted and not evaluative? Evaluative is kind of complicated. The camera might also consider the background, and I wanted it to be overexposed. So I wanted to focus more on the product at the center, obviously, and not only a single spot. So it takes into account the entire product, basically, because averaging out the whites and blacks here, it gives you a little bit of gray there. Okay, and although it's very relative, I also checked my histogram, okay, while shooting it. Turning on the histogram again, okay, there isn't any overexposed part. I still see some detail even in the whites, but that's okay. Yeah, it looks very smooth, at least in camera. So the metering mode is center weighted average. Okay, how about the focus points? Okay, the focus mode and the focus points. Yeah, let's first discuss the focus mode. It's set to one shot. So it says AF operation, one shot. Okay, I don't want to use servo, obviously, because the subject is not moving, I'm not moving, and it's telling me to log out now. It's 5:07. Okay, so I don't want to use servo because the lens, especially this one, has a tendency to jump focus. The image will jump in and out of focus, so there will be a big chance you'll get a blurry image if you use a continuous autofocus or servo. even when you're stationary. It will keep refocusing even though you're not moving, you're not intentionally, adjusting your position. It will continue to, you'll hear the lens refocusing a lot. So that's what I didn't want to happen. That's why, of course, you want to set it to autofocus single, or depends on what your camera calls it. It's called one shot here in live view. Okay, and then just a couple more things. Let me just double check again, because okay, just a quick recap. Okay, I wanted to showcase the product, by the way, in this photo. I didn't take a picture to check my lens because my lens works perfectly so far. Okay, I just wanted to fill the frame with the product so you can see what it actually looks like at the same level, that you would use it at. The same shot level with the product. Okay, then the exposure mode was center weighted. No, it's set to manual. Okay, and okay, I explained to you the process of getting the correct exposure. Focus mode was AF single, or one shot autofocus, because subject's not moving. Okay, the focal length, yeah, I forgot to explain. It's at 50 millimeters. Why? If I use a wide focal length like 17 with the other end of the zoom of this lens, okay, this will distort the product. It makes me move very close. You wouldn't look at a product this close unless there's something really interesting in the details, So it's really distorted if I take a shot like this. Okay, so you want to move back and zoom in to get the real world perspective of the product. Okay, that's why your 50 millimeter is called the standard lens, because it gives you a non-forced perspective. Okay, in taking the shot, yeah, I explained to you what angle worked best, the same way you would use it to calibrate your lens. Okay, composition technique, just fill the frame and give it a little bit of a white background, and that's about it. End of recording. So yeah, if I forgot anything, I will type it in the description down below. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and thanks to Ma'am Dale for being so patient with us and teaching us these photography techniques. Okay, until next time, bye.